of school sports can't be measured in terms of wins or losses. If an individual or team goes to state, it's an incredible accomplishment. But regardless of the outcome, today's student athletes are already destined to go far. School sports, a winning part of a complete education. This message presented by the Florida High School Athletic Association and the Florida Interscholastic Athletic Administrators Association.
Talk 1470 WWNN Pompano Beach, Boca Raton, Miami, Fort Lauderdale.
AM 1470 WNN with more of what you need to know. Don't miss Barry's Supplement Hour. Monday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday at 11 a.m. and Tuesdays at noon on South Florida's Health and Wealth Network. AM 1470 WNN.
AM 1470 with even more information you can use. Are you suffering with chronic pain? Tune in for No Bones About It with Dr. Alvin Stein. You'll learn non-invasive techniques that can help you get rid of your pain without the use of harmful drugs or surgery. That's No Bones About It with Dr. Alvin Stein. Tuesday mornings at 11, right here on AM 1470 WNN, South Florida's Health and Wealth Network.
The South Palm Beach County chapter of the National Parkinson Foundation fosters general awareness to the estimated 60,000 Parkinson disease patients living here in South Florida. The chapter strives to provide support, advocacy, activities, and community to PD patients and their families. And now they have a radio show right here on AM 1470 WNN. You can help. Contact their offices at 561-962-1702. And remember to listen to the Parkinson's Hour right here every Thursday at 6 p.m.
If you suffer from excruciating back pain, do not have surgery. Call Dr. Fernando Ranella, MD, and ask him about the new ozone therapy and how it can eliminate your back pain once and for all. End your suffering today. Call Dr. Fernando Ranella, the Center for Back Pain Management, 561-819-6325. That's 561-819-6325 or injectpainaway.com.
This is Talk 1470.
Talk 1470.
WNN.
The opinions expressed on the following sponsored program are strictly those of the host, guests, and callers, and not necessarily those of the station, its staff, management, or sponsors. Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show, the place to fine-tune your swing, dress for the course, club, or cruise, and get tips on the best places to play and stay at the right price. Vacation or staycation, host Dan Schub, along with his expert co-hosts and guests, will tell you where to go. To play golf and vacation, that is. Now, here's Dan.
Welcome to the Golf and Travel Show. I'm your host, Dan Schub, and tonight, as usual, we'll be talking some golf, we'll be talking some travel, I'll fill you in a little bit on my trip that I just came back from in Las Vegas and got to visit some new places and actually visit a bunch of my typical haunts, which actually a lot of people are always asking me when they go out to Las Vegas, where to go, what to do. So I'm going to fill you in on that. Also, of course, we do have a great guest with us, a fellow by the name of Marty Jones, and he works with Innis and Gunn Brewery. And they are not your typical brewery. They are a microbrew that happens to be located in Scotland with distribution here in the States. And they make their beer a little bit different. They age it in oak barrels that are like rum barrels or bourbon barrels. And it infuses some very, very interesting flavors. And I did have a chance to taste some of it, and I can recommend it. But I'd like to find out more of the specifics and the whole story. So we'll be talking in just a little bit to Marty about that. And you guys can all listen in. And I figure if you're a golfer, you're probably a beer drinker as well. So, and who doesn't like that? And that might make a great holiday gift, which also, besides getting into some of my deals later on in the show, I do got a bunch of deals for you all. And also some news, some travel news, but usually we like to talk a little bit more about golf in the earlier parts of the show. And being that this is the first show that we're doing live in December, I figure it's a good time to talk a little bit about some holiday gift-giving ideas, perhaps for those special golfers in your life. And I came up with a couple of things and a couple of places where you can go and maybe some ideas for those golfers that have everything and you just don't know what to get them. And the first one is a product that I've been wearing religiously and giving out to golfers for several years now. It's not the newest of ideas, but it might be new to you, and it's probably new to your golfing enthusiast. And that would be a product from a company called Nexbelt, Nexbelt. And the Nexbelt is, well, first of all, what's cool about it is it's a belt, but it, for the most part, is a one-size-fits-all belt, so you don't have to worry when you're giving a gift to know what size somebody wears, which is a problem, whether it's golf shoes or golf apparel or a glove. Many of these items, you need to know somebody's size. Well, typically a belt you would have to also, but these belts, they fit folks from like a size, 28 or 30 up to 40 or 50, because you cut it down to size. But what's really unique about the Nexbelt is it does not have any holes in it. Instead, it works on a ratchet system. And what's cool about that is that it can be adjusted by the 1/4 inch instead of the 1/2 inch very easily. And that comes in really handy when you are a traveler or a golfer or a beer drinker, and perhaps you've had a little too much to drink or a little too much to eat, and all of a sudden your waistline is feeling a little bit tight. To be able to loosen it just by a 1/4 inch instead of a 1/2 inch really makes all the difference in the world. What else is cool about these belts are some of their line, not all of it, but they have inside the buckle a hidden magnetized golf ball marker on the greens. And that's also a very cool idea. Plus, the buckles themselves, there are many, many different varieties, ranging from just your basic stylish brushed metals to different designs. And they have different flags. They have some car line ones, I believe Camaros and other kinds of Chevys. And then they have bling for the ladies out there, which is very, very cool as well, with crystal all over it. They also have many different kinds of leathers, including those that are embossed to look like alligator or snakeskin, many, many different colors of leather. And if you get more than one belt, you can also swap the buckles back and forth. So, I have several of the leathers as well as several of the buckles, and I've given them to many, many people. As I mentioned, the prices are reasonable, and you could go over to their website, nexbelt.com, and see all the different offerings that they have there, as well as purchase direct from them. You can find them at some pro shops around the country, but if you're like me and you want to stay off the roads the holiday season, you like to shop from your living room, then nexbelt.com is the place to go. And speaking of shopping from your living room and products that a golfer might enjoy, this is a website also that I've used for a really long time, and it seems that besides liking to drink beer out there on the golf course, golfers also like to have a smoke, perhaps a cigar. And they always make a good gift. I'm not a big cigar smoker, although I did get introduced to smoking cigars on the golf course, and I still enjoy one or two when I'm out there playing. But this website is a website that is just so much fun, and you can also get on their mailing list and get their catalog. But more importantly, their pricing on cigars is far superior to any other place I've ever seen, especially their sales, as well as their product offering. It's a place called Cigars International, and you can find them at cigarsinternational.com. And what I also find extremely intriguing, being that when I'm not here talking on the radio, I'm a marketing guy, whoever it is that does their copywriting is the most amusing fellow I have ever read his work in my life. It's self-depreciating humor. They say the silliest and most ridiculous things I've ever heard of, and it is just so funny. I could read it like a book and just enjoy looking at it. But I'm looking right now at an ad for them where there's free shipping on orders over $49. They have other offers all of the time. I believe that offer is good until the 10th of this month. But there's always another sale going on. There's a clearance sale. There's a special every day. What I would suggest is when you go to their website, just sign up to get their emails, or sign up to get their catalogs. They'll send you a catalog like every 3 or 4 weeks. And again, the writing is just priceless, not to mention the prices. And they've got all your major brands like my favorite, Acid, or Olivia, and you name it. All of the Romeo and Juliet, you name it, they're all there. So I highly recommend them for a good time, as well as good gifts for those golfers that have everything. Another idea that I have for the golfer who has everything is perhaps tickets to go see a event in the area. And we do have right here in Boca Raton the first week in February the Allianz Championship, which is the Champions Tour. It's at Broken Sound at the old course. And obviously you have time to purchase those tickets. You can, I don't have their website in front of me, but of course you could just Google the Allianz Championship and find that. And the tickets are very, very inexpensive. If you happen to live down here, it's a great event to go to. You can see the big names in golf. Defending champions Bernhard Langer and Jason Langer are going to be returning to defend their title. Actually, no, I'm on another event. Excuse me. I got a little bit ahead of myself. But the Allianz Championship right in the backyard, you could get those tickets. I jumped over to the other event that's in the area. That's Bernhard Langer and Jason Langer, and that would be the PNC Father-Son Challenge. Again, the Champions Tour, but a little bit to the north of us in Orlando. And that's coming up in only a week or so. So again, for the local folks that are looking to see some of the best on the Champions Tour on that event, Jack Nicklaus and his son will be playing as well. And Jack only plays like once or twice a year. On the father-son event, many of the players that play in it, they are players that don't typically play much at all. They're the stars from yesteryear, but they all keep coming back for the opportunity to play with their kids or grandkids in some cases. So that's up in Orlando, and again, that's sponsored by PNC. And you can find their website as well by doing a search. And again, the prices are very, very reasonable. Now, a couple of other ideas that I have for you is a gift certificate for a local golf course. Golfers love to play golf. Golf, especially this time of year, can be a little bit pricey or expensive. You can always go to the local golf course and get a gift certificate either to play, or another idea, even better yet, might be to get a gift certificate for a few lessons. Most golfers, like myself, are a little bit stubborn at times, and we don't really understand that, a little help from a professional, a teaching professional, might go a long way in helping us to enjoy the game that we love so much, but don't always play as well as we would like to play. And to spend that extra couple of dollars to go out there and get a lesson from somebody who really knows what they're doing, to get our head back on straight and our game in the direction that we would like it to be going in, we just don't always think to do something like that. So I think that a gift certificate for some lessons from the local pro would also be something that would be much, much appreciated. A little bit later, of course, in a few minutes, we're going to be talking beer. Beer is another thing that your favorite golfer might enjoy, and we'll talk about where you could find the Innis & Gunn. But places like Total Wine or even like a Beer of the Month Club could be a good idea for your golfer who likes to imbibe a little bit. Also, many wines are these days, golfers have come out with their own lines of wine. Many, many years ago, the first one, I believe, was introduced by Greg Norman, Australian wines, which are excellent. And those, too, make a great gift for the golfer in your life to be able to have a bottle of wine with one of his favorite golfers' names on the label. Never a bad thing, and, everybody enjoys that as well. So that's a good idea. Not to mention, of course, some other sites and places that you can go to that make for easy shopping at home. Edwin Watts has a great website. Golfsmith has a very good website as well. They've got all sorts of specials going on right now. Keep in mind that often you can wait till almost the last minute, but you may pay a little bit extra for shipping. So we're starting already to get fairly close to the holidays, and it might be the time to start thinking about it so that you don't have to pay for expedited shipping and everybody gets their gifts on time. Also remember that any of these suggestions might make for good ideas for office gifts as well. If you're one of those folks that's, the Secret Santa, you got a little thing going on where you got to buy something for other folks in your office if you know that they either like to drink or play golf. These all can be some good ideas. Also, if you happen to know the golfer, golf balls are always a good idea as well. Us golfers, we tend to lose them as quickly as we purchase them, so we always can use some golf balls, and that makes for a great gift as well. I think what we're going to do is we're going to take our first break, and hopefully we will have our first guest on the line in a couple of minutes as well, Marty Jones from Innis & Gunn Brewery. And What we will do is take a quick break, and we'll be talking some beer in just a moment or so. So stay tuned for more of the Golf and Travel Show. And we're back, and if your business needs industrial workers or if you're looking for work, you need to call Labor Finders. Labor Finders places temporary or temporary to hire opportunities for skilled, semi-skilled, or general labor positions such as plumbers, electricians, welders, concrete workers, forklift operators, office clerical, and much, much more. Labor Finders has almost 200 offices nationwide. Near here in Boca Raton, they have offices in Miami, Homestead, Fort Lauderdale, West Palm Beach, and Jupiter. So if you need legal, insured, hard workers, or if you want to work hard, call Labor Finders toll free at 800-864-7749. That's 800-864-7749, or visit laborfinders.com. And we are back. And I know a lot of folks who are listening, whether you're a traveler and you like to have a little cocktail on the road, or you're a golfer and you hit the turn and you're just thirsty as can be, a good beer is always the right time for a good beer. Me personally, I just don't get it. The folks that just go for the conventional American-made, mass-produced stuff. I like something special. And I had an opportunity recently to check out a product that I had never tasted before called Innis & Gunn. Made in Scotland and brought over here for your drinking pleasure. And I wanted to share it with everybody, but to find out just all the details about how it came about and how it gets here and how it's made and why it tastes so good, I figured we'd go to the expert, and that would be Marty Jones from the Innis & Gunn Brewery. Marty, are you with us?
I sure am. How are you doing, Dan?
I'm doing great, thank you. I'm just so glad that you could join us because, as I said, you got some interesting product there, and I never heard about it, so hopefully we can enlighten some of the listeners and they can enjoy what I had a chance to enjoy.
Excellent. Well, I'm glad you enjoyed it, and I appreciate you having us on the show here.
So to start off with a little bit, why don't you just give us a little bit about the history of how Innis & Gunn got started over there in Scotland?
Sure. Well, Dougal Sharp, he is our founder, and he grew up in breweries in Edinburgh where his father ran some breweries, and he started working breweries around the age of 14, and back in 2003, he was asked by a distiller, William Graham & Sons, to make a special beer that they would use to pre-season barrels of whiskey. So we made really malty Scottish-style ale, and the idea was the beer would go in the barrels for 30 days, and then they would drain the barrels and then fill the barrels with scotch, and the beer would influence the spirit. But after that project got underway, the distillery manager called Dougal and said, I think you should come by here because the distillery staffers, instead of sending the beer down the drain, were filling up the thermoses and drink bottles and taking the beer home and drinking it.
Wow.
He discovered that was the sort of eureka moment where he realized the power of oak-aged beer. So he then left the family business to start his own endeavor, which is Innis & Gunn, with a focus on oak-aged beer. So it was the result of a wonderful accident.
Now, I mean, you know, these kinds of gourmet products and microbrewed beers have sprung up all over the States, but it's kind of unusual for something, a unique product like this to be coming from Scotland. I mean, how did that happen, and how did the distribution first begin where it was brought over here to the States?
Sure. Well, it is a bit unusual. And these days, American craft beer is infiltrating, overseas in Europe and the UK. But Dougal and Innis & Gunn, we're something of a craft beer pioneer since we started in 2003. And he started just selling beer in Scotland, and then it branched out across the UK. And then our first export markets were Canada and Sweden. And then about 10 years ago, we started sending beer to the United States because obviously we have a very sophisticated craft beer audience. And the hope was that people here would appreciate the liquid art that we make, and it's worked out very well. So we're in about 22 states, including Florida, and all up and down the East Coast. And Florida is actually one of our bigger markets in the U.S.
Yeah, no surprise. We're very thirsty here in Florida.
and your craft beer scene there is flourishing as well. So
yes, it has been, and obviously it's a competitive business, and I suppose that Dougal must be made of some very strong stock to be competing, internationally in this marketplace.
Well, he's a pretty hardy guy, and beer is in his DNA and in his blood, so he understands how things work, and I think he's a very passionate guy, as we all are, about craft beer, and so the challenge is there, but it's a big world, and there's room for lots of craft beer in the U.S. and around the world, so it's working out very well, and it's a very fun adventure.
So let's talk a little bit about the beer itself. And, based on the names, I had an opportunity to taste a few of them. I can only assume the one that's called Original was the first one, correct?
Yes, sir. That's based on the original beer that we made to season those whiskey barrels for William Grant & Sons.
Okay, and so when the original first came out, was it all by itself, and it all happened from there, or did several of these different brews come out simultaneously?
Well, we started with Original. That was our first beer. We launched with that and got that established, and then started doing some experiments with other spirits barrels, and figure out which beers worked out the best, were the better ones. And so Original is our first beer. Our rum aged is a relatively, it's been around for about 6 years. That's one of our year-round beers. That's our biggest seller in Florida. We do a toasted oak IPA. It's a British-style IPA aged on American oak. No spirits infused in that one. And then our current winter seasonal is called a bourbon-aged dark ale. It's a rich cola-colored beer of about 7.5%. It's aged on American oak that's infused with American-made bourbon. So you get those nice flavors of malt and chocolate and roasted grains with the impact of oak, which adds vanilla flavors and toffee and some sweetness and coconut-like notes, and that hint of bourbon as well.
Now, I did not get a chance to try that. Out of the three, I tried the Original, the rum age, and the toasted oak, I guess.
Oh, good.
And
what's your favorite of the three?
My favorite was the rum aged. I guess I'm in the majority here, especially in Florida, it seems. And to me, that I like a darker beer typically, and I just I don't know. I tasted definitely the chocolatey flavor and the nutty flavor, I guess, from the oak, and it certainly was very unique and an interesting experience. Now these beers, can you, similar to wines, would you pair them differently, like with different kinds of foods or different kinds of experiences?
Oh, definitely. Well, our beers, unlike most American-made oak-aged beers, ours, as you probably noticed, are much more quaffable and drinkable, and not quite the, we're after more balance, a mix of malt and beer that's elevated to some new places by the oak and the spirits. Whereas most American barrel-aged beers are often really heavy on the oak, heavy on the alcohol. So we're after more balanced things, so it's less of a challenge, and they're more approachable but artful beers. But they definitely pair well with spirits. Our richer malty beers go great with chocolates and desserts and braised meats and things like beef stew and things of that sort. Our Original, that's sort of our stock flagship beer that's good just about any time of day with a wide range of food. So.
Now, why don't you explain a little bit more also about your distribution? I know I went to your website and it told me about the different places, but I mean, typically, are you being found in drinking establishments or retailers or country clubs, or where might people find this product?
Yeah, that's a good question. Well, most of our beer is sold in bottles to retailers. We do have a good amount of draft beer out in the market, but definitely over half of our beer, over 50% of our beer is sold in packaged form in various, beer retailers and stores around the country. And we do have, our beers in more sort of high-end craft beer bars and restaurants that appreciate really good beer. And we're popular, too, in a lot of places where there's an emphasis on Scotch and Scotch whiskey, as you might imagine. And,
yeah.
and our beer is popular with cigar smokers as well, because it has those nice oak and leathery flavors from our aging process.
Yeah, I was just talking about that earlier in the show about, those gifts for the golfer who has everything. And it's always safe to pick up on something that is not commonly heard of, something like this product that perhaps not everybody knows about yet, so that it's pretty safe to say that you might surprise somebody with something new. Now, when I went to the website, having not heard of your product before, I went to the website and went to the map to figure out where it's located. I'm searching. I figured, it's probably not near me. Lo and behold, about 4 blocks from my house at a place called Vine and Barley, a little wine bar that happens to have some nice beers, you guys were right there up the block.
Oh, that's great.
It's
I'm glad to hear that.
I mean, this is not a big town where I live, and it was like, wow, what are the odds of that? So anybody who's listening and thinks that this may not be that easy or accessible, you may be pleasantly surprised and be able to get your hands on some. Now, if somebody wanted to purchase it for like a gift, are you at any of the places like the Total Wines or places like that where they can actually, get a 6-pack or something and put a ribbon on it and hand it to someone?
Oh, we certainly are. Yep, we're in all major beer retailers across Florida in the southeast, Total Wines and places like that. And, you can find our beer there, and our winter seasonal, the Bourbon Dark Ale I mentioned. It comes in a 660 milliliter bottle in a beautiful box. And there might be some bottles of our fall seasonal, which is a white oak wheat that was made on American oak and infused with bergamot orange peel and with orange juice. And, yeah, they make great gifts, and yes, people should have no problem finding them in their stores. Our Florida distributor there is doing a really wonderful job for us. So.
Yeah, and again, I like the idea of giving something that's, really unique, and certainly your special release for the season, that nobody has had a chance to taste yet, so you're definitely going to surprise somebody. Now, how often do you do that? Like every season? Is there another seasonal, like 4 times a year?
Yes, sir. About every quarter we put out a seasonal beer. But in January we'll be coming out with a very limited amount of an Irish whiskey cask aged version that's really big and around St. Patrick's Day. And Bourbon Dark, actually, it turned out so well. It looks like we're going to make that a year-round beer. So you'll see that in 4-packs. Most of our beers come in 4-packs of 11.2-ounce bottles.
So obviously, this is one way that your line will expand. So will there come a time that you may have 10 or 15 different flavors in your line?
Well, that's a wonderful thought. I mean, we put out about 25 different flavors over our career, and then even a little more than that, it's some smaller batch beers. And in Scotland, we have a new beer. It's a lager that's made with a grain called Golden Naked Oats. It's been a big hit. It's our first unoaked beer, and it's been a smash, and we're considering sending some of that to the United States. So I think that'll be very popular and a nice, easy drinking, but artfully made Scottish-style lager. So.
Now, speaking of some of your finer beers, you guys have won some awards for your beer, I see, as well.
We have, and actually this second half of the year has been very fruitful for us. Our core beers all won medals in the U.S. Open Beer Championships, the World Beer Championships, and then we recently picked up a couple in the International Beer Challenge, which is a European contest. So it's been great recognition for the passion and care we put into making our beer. It's been very, very satisfying. We make beer for ourselves and our fans, but we get acclaim from the world's best beer judges. That's especially satisfying, right?
Well, now, as we had spoken earlier, sometimes I guess it's an accident when you come up with a new taste or a new flavor, but typically, is it Dougal that does this, or do you have some sort of a committee of beer aficionados that are coming up with these ideas?
Well, Dougal is the main brain behind our operation and some of the recipes, but we also have other people on our brewing staff that weigh in and help contribute. And so it's that he leads the team, but it's definitely we have a group of experts that all weigh in, and we count on them for help and inspiration. Yeah, some experimentation. We're in the process of raising the funds for a new brewery that we're going to have out in Edinburgh, and that's going to allow us to expand our barrel aging program and make a larger array of beers and do some more experimenting and some collaborative beers. Yeah, so there's a lot going on for us. It's a very exciting time to be making great beer.
I almost feel like the times that we're living in is like the renaissance of beer or something, that maybe people will look back, in the future and say, man, that was a time where beer just, things were going crazy.
Oh, I think you're right. I mean, we're approaching the 4,000th mark in breweries in the United States, and there has never been a better time to be a fan of great beer. That's for sure. It's a renaissance. It'll be exciting to see just how far it progresses, isn't it?
Hey, I think so. And speaking of also interesting, I have to tell you, before you give out your website address, it was a lot of fun, your website. It was very nicely designed, and I really enjoyed looking through it. So if our listeners would like to check out your website and learn more about the wonderful beer and where to find it, how would they do that?
Innis and